What's up, YouTube? Back with another video. So this time I decided, well, it's going to be a little bit different in this video. As you can tell by the title, I'm not going to be reviewing a band this time. I'm going to be talking about some albums that have some meaning to me. I guess, you know, the most meaningful albums in a way. I've got a big stack of CDs or albums right here, and we're gonna see how many we can get through in this video. This will probably be a two-parter if I had to guess, unless I'm just really fast. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. What we're listening to is Airborne with Black Dog Barking. I think that's what the name of it is. Yeah, these guys are out of Australia. They're kind of like some AC/DC inspired kind of rock and roll with maybe a little bit of a metal tinge to it. But yeah, Airborne out of Australia, Black Dog Barking. Really good album, check it out. So yeah, I kind of put this in an order that I thought would kind of flow pretty good. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. The albums I'm going to get out of the way first are albums I've already actually talked about in previous videos. So we'll just kind of skim right over those real quick. The first one being Kiss Alive. You know, I've talked about this one already. You know, this was the first CD that I ever, well, I didn't buy it with my own money, but my dad got it for me, but that I ever owned. And this was kind of the album that just opened the door for me and started me on the path that I've gone down and where we've ended up today. So yeah, that's all thanks to this album. So yeah, I've already talked about it. You guys know it. Kiss Alive. So the next three albums are going to be also albums I've already talked about from a different band. You can probably guess which one those are. It's going to be Slipknot Iowa, Slipknot All Hope Is Gone, and Slipknot .5 The Grey Chapter. So I'll start with Iowa. This album kind of opened up, you know, well, if Kiss Alive got me started on the path that I've gone down since, this album opened my eyes up to what, you know, heavy metal music could be. You know, I really kind of discovered, you know, that, hey, you know, music with growled vocals, you know, that's actually, you know, some good shit, and I'd never heard anything heavier than this up to that point. Which, yeah, I mean, just and this is also my favorite album of all time, so, you know, obviously it's going to be super meaningful for me. But yeah, this album really, you know, opened my eyes as to, you know, there's more stuff than just, you know the mainstream kind of you know, metal like Disturbed and Metallica and what have you, you know. So yeah, that's super important in that regard, and still one of my favorite albums. Well, it is my favorite album of all time. So yeah. And so yeah, we'll just go in order of chronology now for Slipknot albums. So yeah, All Hope Is Gone. You know, this was the first Slipknot album I ever owned. You know, I got super into them during the time when they were on this album cycle. And my dad went out and bought this for me from Walmart one day. He came home and he had this, and I just popped it right in. And, you know, this was actually the first album I ever listened to all the way through with growled vocals on it. You know, with me being, you know, this was, I think I first heard this in 2009. So, you know, I was like 7, 8 years old. So, you know, you hear something like the first track on here, Gematria, the Killing Name. And, you know, that one along with the title track, the last song on the album, All Hope Is Gone. Those two songs, you know, you gotta, if you put yourself in, like, you know, an 8-year-old's shoes hearing that for the first time, it's like completely just blew me away, and it was so brutal and heavy and, you know, unlike anything I'd ever heard before. So yeah, much like Iowa, this one as well kind of opened my eyes as to, you know, that metal with growled vocals is actually really good, and that, you know, I should check more of it out. So yeah, Slipknot, All Hope Is Gone. So moving on to the final Slipknot album, Point five, the Gray Chapter. This one's special, not because it's necessarily like the best album, in Slipknot's discography. In fact, it's one of my least favorite. This one's meaningful because this was the first, like, with, I was all Slipknot, after I had All Hope Is Gone. Then Paul Gray passed away, and then they didn't make an album for 6 years. So 2008 to 2014, there's no new Slipknot music. And then I heard, they're in the studio making a new album, and it happened to be this. And, I anticipated the fuck out of this album. I guess, when they dropped the first single off this, the Negative One, that just blew me away. And I just remember the anticipation of this album coming out, and then, it drops, and I go out and get it first day. Was not disappointed at all. Just a great album, and it's super meaningful just because, it was the first, it was really the first album, period, that I was, like, super hyped about. The only other one, really, I guess, was Battle Maximus from Gwar. That one and this album were really the first two albums I was super hyped about, coming out. I would show Battle Maximus, but I don't have it in my collection. I need to get it. I need a lot more Gwar albums, but I'm going off on a ramble, so yeah. This one's special because it's first Slipknot album I anticipated. I also saw them twice on this tour. First time seeing them live, first metal concert actually, so yeah, just the whole time around when this album came out was super special for me. So yeah, Slipknot, Point five, the Gray Chapter. So, moving on, we're going to get to an album that I really love, and it came out in an awesome time in my life, which is Creator, Gods of Violence. This came out in 2017. I guess at the beginning of 2017, I was a sophomore in high school when this came out, and this dropped. This is the first Creator album I ever heard, and yeah, man, it just completely just kicked me in the balls. It's one of my favorite Creator albums. I've heard most of their discography now, but yeah, man, this one's just super meaningful because it came out in such a killer time in my life, man. Like, this was my soundtrack to, like, summer of 2017, and, like, I'll never forget, this album just brings back so many good memories for me, just listening to that throughout that whole year. This was my favorite album from that year, and like I said, it's probably my favorite Creator album. So, yeah, Creator, Gods of Violence. And the same goes for this next album too. I just have awesome memories of listening to this one, and that one is Southern rock band Blackberry Smoke's album, The Whippoorwill. This is their third full length, and I saw them on this tour. This one came out in 2013. I went with my parents to the Tennessee Theater to see them, and I think we've seen them 3 times, and one of them was on this tour, and it was just a great show. We picked up this album at the show, and this was one that it was always in the car. We still play it on a pretty regular basis to this day. This is easily their best album. When I'm not always in the mood for Southern rock, but when I am, I put this one on. Again, just like the Creator album, it came out in a super awesome time in my life, and I have great memories listening to this album. So yeah, Blackberry Smoke, The Whippoorwill. So these next 2 albums, they have a lot of significant meaning to me, and so yeah, I'll just show them to you right now. Screaming for Vengeance, Judas Priest, and Quiet Riot, Metal Health. So yeah, these 2 albums, they're super special for me, because these 2 albums were like really the first 2 albums that me and my dad kind of bonded over. Screaming for Vengeance being first, and then actually quite recently, within probably the last year or 2, get Quiet Riot, Metal Health. These 2 albums, they're the first 2 albums me and my dad really bonded over, and we've listened to these in the car the most out of probably anything, when we're jamming in the car too, just me and him, So these 2 mean a lot in that regard. I know Quiet Riot, you know, of course, Judas Priest's awesome. I know Quiet Riot's super cheesy, you know, and they really don't have anything really worth a crap past probably QR3. Well, actually, I take that back. They do have some their more recent stuff. Some of it's pretty good. The last couple albums they did with Kevin DeBrow before he passed away is actually good stuff. But yeah, like I said, just super meaningful. You know, there's been more albums we bonded over, but these were the first two, and these will always hold, you know, a special place in my heart for that reason. So yeah, Quiet Riot, Mental Health, and Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance. Yeah. So moving on, I guess this will be probably the last album I show in this video, because I still have, you know, just a shit ton to show, and you saw what was on the top, so you probably already know what I'm about to show. So yeah, this band and this album in particular is super special to me, and mostly because, well, actually, I'll just go ahead and show it before I get into explaining. That album, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son from Iron Maiden. This is my favorite Iron Maiden. You know, I kind of got into them. I was kind of late to the party getting into Iron Maiden. As far as, you know, I was a metalhead for several years before I even, you know, started checking out their full lengths. And I started doing so. Me and my mom and dad, we got tickets to go see Iron Maiden, and you know, we got them like 4 or 5 months out, and I really started listening to them heavily at that point. And this was back in 2017. I've seen them twice, and that was the first time. And so yeah, I really started, you know, diving deep into their full lengths, and you know, I was really loving what I heard, which, you know, I started just listening to them in order from self-titled, so forth. And yeah, I got to this album, and I was getting really super into Maiden. And I guess if I wasn't convinced that they're one of the best bands on earth, this album right here convinced me that Iron Maiden is easily a top 3 band. You know, they're probably, behind Slipknot and Kiss, they're probably my 3rd favorite band. You know, this album solidified them being in my upper echelon. You know, this album's just amazing, and again, just kind of like the Creator album and the Blackberry Smoke album, I have very fond memories of jamming to this album. Yeah, completely blown away the first time I heard it, and just, you know, just every time since, I still get that same feeling as to when I heard it the first time. Yeah, just super awesome. Just every time it takes me back to that first time, which not a lot of albums can do that for me, but this is one of them. And yeah, that's why I included it in this video, because, you know, it's the album that kind of solidified me as being a super, you know, an Iron Maiden super fan, I guess. And yeah, just awesome. You know, I'm sure you've heard this if you're watching this video, but yeah, if you've not, stop this video right now and check this album out. It's amazing. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son from Iron Maiden. Just super important album for me. I mean, honestly. So yeah. So yeah, that'll wrap it up for this video. We still have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more albums to talk about in the next video. And so this album, this video was kind of like, I put them in a certain order because, you know, I wanted all like the kind of more rock and straightforward heavy metal kind of stuff to be in the kind of one video, and the more extreme metal stuff to be in another video. And so the next video is going to be more of, you know, more of the extreme metal albums that mean a lot to me. So yeah, stay tuned for that. So yeah, take care, guys.